The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.patreon.com/The BPD Show.
Something happens when you begin to look at this system holistically, at the different parts and the different reactions, the things that happen and take place as one connected system. From Minneapolis all the way to Atlanta, Georgia, all across this country, there are issues and there are stories that we cover and we see connecting threads through them all. We begin this morning with On the Clock with Georgia Ford as she discusses a young woman who was killed in protest on behalf of the life of Winston Smith, who was killed by federal marshals just last week. Georgia Ford.
Well, there was some breaking news overnight. A woman was actually killed. She was at a protest protesting for Winston Smith, who was killed by a U.S. Marshal over a week ago. And this vehicle just plowed into the group of protesters. And so they were hoping that she was going to pull through, but it was announced this morning that she did not pull through. And it reminds me of what happened in Charlottesville. It kind of takes me back to that moment where you have a specific individual that's targeting protesters. And I'm seeing reports from mainstream media that are saying that they feel like maybe drugs and alcohol played a factor. But when you're hearing what happened, the accounts of eyewitnesses who were there on the ground, knowing that this vehicle revved up their engine and specifically targeted this group of protesters, it's hard to acknowledge the fact that we are still dealing with this deep-rooted hate in 2021.
Yeah.
I want to bring in Jakara Hallman. She is an independent journalist, and she has been following this story. Jakara, I understand that you know a little bit about who the woman was who was pronounced dead.
Yes. I sit here trying to not tear up because it's unfortunate. It's sad. Her name was Deanna Marie. If you're looking to get more insight, she has a Facebook page under the name Deanna Marie. And Deanna was someone that was out here. I mean, she was coming to the protest. She was a part of the rally. She was supporting the, fight for justice for Winston Smith. And Deanna also is someone that was overcoming her own life battles. So if you look at a post that she shared on June 12th, she says, "This coming up week, we shall forever call Deanna in the Making Week." And she has like this calendar where it says on Wednesday would have been her 32nd birthday. And on Friday would have made 1 year sober. That would have been her 1 year anniversary.
Wow.
So,
and I guess to kind of make this real for you guys, and this might be difficult for some of you guys to watch or listen to, I want to take you there to the scene, the aftermath of what happened, so you can really see how this affected an entire community of people who at the end of the day were simply just standing up for humanity. Take a look.
Hold him! When you see that, now you come with the gun. Hold up! Don't let go! Don't let go! Everybody shut the up! This just came through 100 miles an hour. Who got the gun? He just came through 100 miles an hour. He just came through 100 miles an hour. Smashed this car. He just came through 100 miles an hour. Smashed the car. He came through 100 miles an hour and he just killed her.
Wow.
He just killed her.
That is the raw emotion of someone who just witnessed something very horrific. I mean, you could see the smoke, on the vehicle. You could see that there was a protester who was trying to detain the driver. And I don't know if he was trying to flee. There's different accounts of whether or not the protesters took him out the vehicle or if he got out of the car, but they were detaining him until police came. And then what we saw and heard from other accounts was that the police were very aggressive to the protesters who are out there, and they were all very traumatized. Jakara, what do you make of all of this? You have, dozens of, and for the most part, young people who are out here demanding justice and police accountability for Winston Smith. And then this happens. And then now the police are treating the protesters as though they're the ones who've done something wrong.
It's very unsettling to learn that the police came either with their hands on their weapons or their weapons close to being drawn. It's very unsettling to learn that there was actually, in that space where she was killed, there was actually a larger crowd that was gathered as they were playing games at this time. They were playing red light, green light. They were playing games, just like entertaining themselves. And then this car come and harm a member of the community. And what you learn from just watching the footage is that everyone is kind of looking around too, trying to learn who else may have been injured. Because as I shared, there was a larger group that was gathered in that same space. So if you watch some of the independent journalist footage, you will learn that people are like, DJ was fairly close to where that incident took place. And for the officers to come in with such aggressive energy and tension and pushing the protesters back is just very unfortunate, because these protesters are now dealing with a just abundant amount of trauma, of grief, as they're trying to process and figure out these emotions that they're feeling, as well as learn of the incidents that took place. She was critically injured at first before she succumbed to these injuries and
and Georgia, you mentioned at the top of this conversation that this reminded you of what happened in Charlottesville with Heather Heyer, how the white supremacist drove and plowed his car through the crowd. And we've seen this repeat itself over the last couple of years. We've seen it repeat itself with other protesters, but we've also seen police officers not drive as aggressively as this guy did last over the weekend. But they also, in New York last year, they were plowing through crowds. And it's something to say that we're at the stage of this conversation where we really could be debating over the right of drivers to plow through protesters that they disagree with. There's conversations about that, but then still how they just have this lack of humanity towards people that they politically disagree with. Jakar, could you talk about that? Because it takes a lot of dehumanization for you to go with the vehicle and plow through a crowd of protesters. One, because you don't like their politics, but then two, you're willing to kill somebody with a vehicle because you don't like what they stand for.
Yes, it is heartbreaking. It is heartbreaking. And the fact that there are laws that have been passed in some states that protect these individuals, that protect them. Since 2020, there have been over 80 anti-protest bills, and one of them grants immunity to individuals that bring harm to protesters, saying that they unintentionally harm or get out of a scene. And so as someone that goes out into the community, as a activist myself, like I'm scared. I'm scared for myself. I'm scared for the members of my community, because we don't know how this night is going to end, though we are just going out to fight and demand justice for these lives that are being taken by the hands of police, by the hands of brutality, and then to lose our lives in the process.
It feels overwhelming, because it's like, okay, you have a group of individuals who are standing up against the police officers, law enforcement agencies. Then you are standing up against these individuals who are trying to inflict harm upon you. And on top of that, what we're seeing now across the country in cities is an uptick in gun violence in our own community. And so we're seeking refuge and protection, and some type of agency against law enforcement, against people who have deep-seated racism, against our own people. And so where do we go for peace and rest and restoration? And where are we protected? Is there a place in America where Black people can live without being in fear, without feeling like if I grab my cell phone, someone's going to think it's a gun? If I use my voice to stand up for other people, then all of a sudden now I'm a target for these hate groups. Like, where do we get to go to speak up for our own humanity and our citizenship? Equal citizenship in this country ultimately is what's at the center of a lot of the things that people are advocating for. And so it feels very overwhelming, to see something like this happen, especially when you look at the case of Winston Smith, when, this was a man, he was, from what we're hearing from the witness, and I'm not sure, David, if we have this clip, but Winston Smith was in a vehicle. He had just had a dinner date and was leaving when about 8 unmarked vehicles approached him with guns drawn. And a witness who was in the car with him said that he did not have a gun. And so his death was justified immediately when people falsely accused him of being a murder suspect, which has been disproven. And then people said that he had a gun. And at the end of the day, this witness is now contradicting that statement from law enforcement. Right. And so there was a small group of people who had been organizing to demand justice and transparency for this man, who was also a comedian. Ben, I don't know if you've looked up his page, but him and one of his friends, they were building, basically a YouTube channel for the comedy skits that they do. Hilarious brother, and so I'm curious, Ben, as a Black man, like how do you internalize these things, and how do we move forward from this? How do we keep advocating for equity, equality, without jeopardizing our lives?
I don't know. A quick story. I was riding, my family and we were riding somewhere on Saturday, and my wife was driving, and we got pulled over. And just the amount of the balancing act that you have to do, because you got to keep yourself calm, then 2, you got to make sure my baby was she was calm, and I had to make sure the kids were calm, but at the same time, like, I'm trying to help her find her license in her purse, but I'm like, I can't move too suddenly, and I need to make sure that they can see my hand. So I'm balancing, like, how do I help her get her license, but what if they come from this side, and all these things are going through your mind. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I breathed a sigh of relief once I realized it was a Black police officer about my age. And it bore out that way. Like, he, we got a warning. It was like he was a part of our community. I bring that story up because, as much as I am for defunding the police, and in many cases abolishing the police, there is something to have a face there that understands how afraid you are because of how the system has been doing us all these years. And so I'm not saying that representation is the solution. I'm just glad that there was a Black man in that cop car that day that pulled us over.
Yeah, and so this right here, this is Winston Smith, and one of those skits that he was doing with his friends. It was so funny in the skit here. He's talking about how he got his PPP loan and used it to buy this Oscar Mayer wiener truck. 2.1 million views. And it's interesting because I feel like not a lot of people are really standing up for him in the same way that we saw folks stand up for George Floyd. Ben, it breaks my heart to hear those kinds of experiences, but I feel like they're not unique, unfortunately.
Nope.
Every single time I hear a police vehicle with their sirens on in proximity to me while I'm driving, I get anxiety. I get this heaviness in my chest. My heart starts beating faster. And I have insurance and I don't have any warrants and my tabs are good and all of the things, but yet and still you feel in fear. It's this constant fear, Jakara. I'm sure that you've had these experiences as well.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. As a Black woman, it's as if, I have to police myself. As soon as I hear or see those sirens, my body, my heart starts to race. I just get sweaty. My palms get sweaty because I'm like, are they pulling me over because I did something wrong? Or is it simply because I'm a Black woman? But at the same time, I know that once they approach my window, I have to make sure that whatever I'm feeling or however my day was, that's behind me. And now I have to present with, yes, sir. No, no, sir. Yes, ma'am. I understand. And it's this shape shifting because at the end of the day, I want to return home. And so I have to do everything not to alarm them, not to upset them so that they don't, reach for their gun. And it's scary. And it's BS at the end of the day because they can treat me harshly, pull me out the car, press me against the car and handle me in any type of way that they see fit. But I have to continue to control my temper, to speak nicely to them, to give them respect. And sometimes that respect that we give them still do not result in us returning home, such as the case of Philando Castile, who, was killed live in front of a child in the back seat. And he said, yes, sir. No, sir. I have to let you know, sir, that I have a weapon, which he had, the authorization to carry. However, his life was taken.
Yeah. Yeah. And so if you guys are no justice, the officer was found not guilty. His family received a civil settlement, which is interesting how those two pieces play together, that you can get a civil settlement and the city can be held responsible in that capacity, but no criminal justice. But I'll digress from that point. I was going to say, for those who are just joining us, we are discussing some breaking news that came through overnight. A woman was killed after being out at a protest in a car, driving through the group of protesters. That individual was detained by protesters until officers arrived, at which time he was taken into custody. And so we're learning more details about this, but this isn't an isolated incident. We've seen this happen before. And unfortunately, I hate to say it, until something systematically changes, we're probably going to see it happen again. Yeah. And so that's the thing of seeing protesters out there. I know some folks, they're like, oh, we're so tired of protesting, doesn't do anything. What we've seen incremental change from protesters going out and demanding transparency. That's oftentimes why body camera footage is released so quickly. And so it does help. But when do we get to a point where there's no reason to go out there? To your point, Jakara, with Philando Castile, like, still to this day, we saw that happen on live. Unlike George Floyd, that officer wasn't found responsible, right? But the one thing that keeps coming to my mind, and I'll wrap this up, is just last year we were in a similar situation in terms of our country looking at police accountability as a serious issue that needed to be addressed immediately, urgently. And now here we are a year later. We're dealing with similar situations, and everybody has just kind of went back to normal. We saw all these think about all the corporate statements that came out last year in solidarity with George Floyd. I haven't seen one corporation make a statement about Winston Smith, or for that matter, Dante Wright.
Yeah. Do you think it's because we have been so desensitized? Not just when I say we, I mean collectively. What we saw happen to George Floyd was barbaric. And I'm afraid that because we all suffered that trauma collectively together, we absorbed it, we watched it, we rewatched it, we dissected it. I'm afraid that we just don't have the bandwidth to be shocked even more because we've been so numbed. and desensitized to it. Jakar, I would really, what do you think about that effect, that we're so vigilant that the side effect is like we kind of get numb, and it's almost like there has to be a level of escalation from the police for us to see even how barbaric they've been all along.
Yes. When I hear news of another killing, my first thought is, again? I was just telling Georgia, it just seems like I'm constantly showing up and we're constantly coming to this place and it's just almost the same thing every time, just maybe a different scene and now a new name that we cry. And it's unfortunate. And we are calling, seeking, demanding, asking, crying for our police, for our government, for our nation to show up, and put their actions where their mouth is, to walk it like they talk it, and to make some change happen so that this doesn't continue to happen. Put some insurance on these officers so that they know that like our lives matter and that they don't continue to take us and lynch us in daylight without any remorse, without any consequence. It's really unsettling and it's really unfortunate.
Wow.
And I think about that too, about people being desensitized. And I ask myself sometimes too, being out and covering things and being exposed to a lot of trauma, how does it really affect you? But on the other hand, as Black people, we can't afford to be desensitized. We can't afford to turn the other cheek and act like this stuff isn't happening because we don't feel like we have the bandwidth. We don't have that privilege. We have to face this head on, because the next time we could be the hashtag. The next time our dad, our brother, our uncle, our sons could be the hashtag. And so it is something that, while these conversations are extremely challenging to have, and you see that mainstream media only has them when they are barbaric, right? They can afford to not make this the headline. They can afford to not follow the story, even when you can justify the fact that it wasn't right. You can say, look, in Winston Smith's case, there was no gun, according to the only eyewitness, and he was not a murder suspect. So here we are today, and we're still waking up today asking ourselves, why was Winston Smith killed? Why? We're almost 2 weeks past when he was killed. Why the person who killed him was not named? Why are there no charges brought against that person? Why? Why is no one talking about this story? And then why was a woman just killed last night for being out and asking these questions and demanding answers to those questions, when everyone else is on to the next page, they're on to the next story, they want to cover this up because what? They don't have capacity to deal with another police killing? And so it feels like this is a case. And I think the reason why I keep showing up every day to shine light on it is because I recognize other people are not. And when you look at the facts of this case, it doesn't seem right.
Oh no, it doesn't seem right. And Georgia, you said so much that's so important. I'm reminded of the Jon Stewart quote. He said, if you're tired of talking about racism, imagine how tired Black people are living with it. And so while, as you bring light to these stories, it should be national news. It should be headline news right now that a protester was killed last night by probably some right wing, whatever headline they want to make, because a person lost their life last night as she was protesting on behalf of a person who lost their life to police violence in a city that's been ravaged by it over the last couple of weeks. But it's not. And so that's why this segment, and Jakar, this is why your work is so important. So I wanted to thank you so much for coming on, and Georgia, thank you for continuously bringing light to these stories.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ben. Have a wonderful day.
No, I don't wanna lose you, baby. get you back, oh yeah.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, y'all. It's time for Like It or Not. It's about to go down.
Like It or Not with Benjamin Dixon starts now.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Oh my. Jesus, like it was a lot happening. I gotta prepare for the mornings. You know, I have my little glass of water in the way. But the great news today is that we got Benjamin Dixon on the show today. Look, what view is this? You got it. And he came back with a different angle, child. He came back with a money angle.
It was a mistake. I did it last night by mistake. I said, "Oh, wait a minute. I think I like this."
He came back with a fireplace. I got money in my vein type of situation. Okay.
Came with that big money energy shot.
I come with go to patreon.com/like it or not energy today.
I'm with it.
Bless the Lord. Rebecca, you got it popping over there. Y'all got it popping while I was gone. We got the Benjamin Dixon Show logo in the Rainbow Pride. Like, that's dope.
Yeah, I contacted. Look, because I got people. I contacted David, and I was like, what do you think this would look like? And he definitely went with it. He stayed up with me because I had him up because I had just got off of work, and he was ready to go to bed. I love it. What do you think this would look like? And he definitely handled that. I appreciate him for that.
Listen, y'all did such an amazing job while I was gone. I'm going to digress and just sit quietly and enjoy the show. So, but no, really, y'all were amazing, both of you. James, that segment Friday and that segment Thursday, the one on Thursday, was absolutely brilliant and poignant and everything. So, salute to you, brother.
I appreciate that, brother.
And Rebecca, you were doing the damn thing. So I digress.
He's just saying he gonna sit here and enjoy the show.
But he's not though. So we'll just let him say what he says. And definitely when it comes time for the Benjamin Dixon moment, because Rebecca doesn't know it all, Benjamin Dixon will definitely step in. But we have great guests today. Oh wait, hold on. It is Monday, and we did not do our interjection. We're not missing out on that. Okay. So it's Monday, June, what is this? 14th. My package is coming in the mail, but it's June 14th. And I would like to say good morning. Like you said, Bubba, good morning. Welcome to Like It or Not, where we're free to tell the truth. Right, you're right, Bubba. Because Ben was supposed to say it first, so I just said it, and it just. So welcome to Like It or Not, where we're free to tell the truth.
James, you got it. And not care.
Who doesn't like it?
You're right. James is being inclusive. James is being very inclusive. Ben is acting like he don't live here. Ben is acting like he don't know. He don't got the keys to the door. Ben is acting like.
No, honestly, y'all know I'm only smart in politics, right? Can we agree there? Like, I'm missing a whole lot of common sense. Okay, I don't have a lot of stuff. Only smart in politics and a little bit of science, but I digress. So anyway, Rebecca, my bad. I missed it. It went completely over my head.
You don't. Okay, all that head you got. It should have never. All right, guys. Today we have some great guests coming on for you today. This morning we have a friend to the show, Egberto Willies. We have. And he's here to talk about a few things. We just want to kick it for a few minutes with him. And I know there's a lot that we need to discuss, or we should discuss, especially regarding Joe Biden. And we also have a candidate for Virginia governor, Princess Blanding, who will be on the show later. But let's go ahead and dive right in to Egberto.
Buenos dias. Good morning, guys. How you guys doing?
Good morning, sir.
Hey, you woke me up, DJX. Man, let me tell you, you woke me up with some good jams, man.
I appreciate that, sir. Thank you so much.
You know, I kind of got up early, said I'm going to listen in, and started listening, and it was great music. Thanks, man. How
Thank
you guys
sir.
doing?
I appreciate that.
We're doing really well. We're doing really well. How you do, Egberto? How are you?
I have to start by saying good morning, Rebecca Arthur. How you doing? You remember last night?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing okay.
And of course, Benjamin. How you doing, Ben?
I'm doing great, sir. I'm trying to check and see how are you broadcasting to us. You got your books on the screen. You got you got the technology on lock, man. What is this?
Wirecast broadcast, man. So I said, you know, since I'm coming on the real show, I needed to kind of make sure that I was all set up the right way, you know.
I love it. No, I'm getting ideas, but it's great to see you, man. It's always good to have you here, and I like to pair you with Rebecca because y'all can do those R's. I can't. I got the thump thump. That's all I got.
That is not.
Hey, I tell you, from the last show, that was the that outtake between you and Rebecca. That was like the bomb because that's what people didn't care what I said. They just loved that interaction you guys had afterwards.
Oh
yes, no, they loved what you said. Of course, Egberto. You come on here and you make sure that you give us politics done right. You know, which is what your show is named, Politics Done Right. I know most recently, you know, we've been discussing Joe Biden here on the show, right? And there are a few things that he's touched on. There's been COVID-19. There's been our education system when it comes to our student loans. And most recently, you discussed something about on your page. You were talking about his international ideals and what he wants to do with that. So what is your stance on that? I know that you had a little bit of pushback for him.
Yeah, well, two things, right? First of all, I'm going to start by saying the blog that I did yesterday was a simple blog. A guy asked him, "Hey, are you guys going to stop the policies that Donald Trump had involved, meaning the tariffs and all that sort of thing?" And he went to the mic and he said, "I've been here 120 days, really 144, but you know, that's close enough for government work. I'm here 120 days. Give me time." Normally, when a moderate says something like that, give me more time, generally means it ain't gonna happen.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I think for now, Biden has earned some brownie points given the American Rescue Plan and how powerful it is. I was reading something last night that said the American Rescue Plan is starting to look like genius because it was so big. Even if he doesn't get the things that he want to get, all the things that you want to get in the new bills, the American Jobs Plan, wow, we had a very good start. And, you know, he kind of gave some bona fides to the progressive side. Now, I am the type that says we're going to have to continue to pressure on very hard because, you know, the squeaky wheels get the grease. But as far as giving him a few weeks, I say progressive base, let's give him not a few months. Let's give him a few weeks.
A few weeks. I mean, you're being generous because I'll say this, you know, since they've been in office, you know, it's been every time we say, you know, they gave us a date when they first got on, right? They said this amount of time.
Yes.
And, you know, so they gave us that expectation, right? So then when we held them accountable, it was like, hey, don't forget, I just walked in here, okay? And then they're like, okay, give me a few more weeks. And we give them a few more weeks. And it's like every time we say we're going to give a few more weeks, what happens? They say, give me a few more weeks. Like, hey, I'm new. I'm brand new. I just walked into the White House. I just took the seat. Cut me some slack here, you know?
But Rebecca, first of all, let me just say, you're right. You should not, you know, I can say as, you know, this guy that tries to put all these things together, yeah, let's give him a few more weeks. Yeah. But I'm not going to come on the Benjamin Dixon and Rebecca Azar show and say, hey, you guys stop talking about forcing his hand. You have to keep forcing his hands no matter what. I'm speaking now from the analytical portion, saying, okay, so far with the American Rescue Plan, you know what? That was bigger and better than I thought we could have ever gotten from him. But we, those of us that are progressives, no, we're not supposed to stop telling him, okay, keep doing it. And then there's one other thing about it, right? I think he wants to do it. If you listen to what Bernie said last night, he really wants to do it, but we have a problem. We have a problem called Manchin, and we have a problem called Sinema. Now, there was a time that I had a fear that Manchin would jump ship if we were too hard on him, right? I no longer have that fear because a friend of mine said, Egberto, you are completely wrong. And I said, what do you mean? And he said, well, look, if Manchin switches party, he gets a primary inside of the Republican Party, and he knows for sure that he loses because it's still Trump's party, and Manchin voted twice to impeach Trump. So when I kind of went back, I'm like, I think this guy is right. Manchin probably does not have a chance in the Republican Party. Of course, the possibility is Trump could throw the wrench in and say, okay, I support Manchin if he switches party. That is a concern.
That is a possibility. No, I didn't think about that.
Hold on, Ben. Just to let you know, Egberto, you are very right, though. We have to, as progressives, continue to hold them accountable. Because if it ain't us, then who, right?
Exactly.
But I just want them to know, too. Realize, you guys, you're taking advantage of us and everything that's going on. Nobody asked you to come in with a date, right? Nobody asked you to come in with the plans that you came in with, Joe Biden. There are a lot of things that you put on the map and everybody was so excited about internationally too. I mean, people in Haiti were excited to have Joe Biden here because of the things that he said he was going to do for the country. And then, even they were holding him accountable, but us right here in America were like, hey, you said this and you said this and you gave us this time frame. Now you want us to forget about this and stick to whatever plan that you're going to come up with tomorrow, which you're going to change again. Give yourself more padding time. But yes, we got to keep holding them accountable, because the more that we do speak against them, it's not like how we used to do politics back in the days where it was like it was forbidden to speak against your president or your leader. Now it's like, oh no, Joe Biden didn't do what he said he was going to do, and this is what he said he was going to do, and this is where he's turning back his words, and we're calling him out. And now people are being more educated, and now they're holding him accountable. So you're 100% right. Ben, what were you going to get in there on?
Oh, I don't even remember what I was going to say. I was listening to you.
Yeah.
No, carry on.
But
carry on.
But Rebecca, there's one thing that I'm happy about, that I am starting to see no let up. And with all the voter suppression that we're having here in Texas, Georgia, North Dakota, and these other places, I tell you what I'm starting to see from some of the feelers that I get, and that is, we want to fight voter suppression, but you know what is the thing? You remember with a kid, you told them not to put your hands on something, and because you told them not to put your hands on something, that's what they want to do, right? And I think these guys overplayed their hands, and I think right now that we are going to see 2018 is going to look like a joke compared to what we're going to see for 2022. And what I think progressives have to do is make sure to get our candidates in, because we need to make sure that Joe Manchin and Sinema are not the people that we have to the lowest common denominator, which is Republican policy. We need to have people who are going to be there pushing our policies, and there are a lot of those out there now, a lot of them out there. And I think as long as we start supporting those and bringing those in, we're going to be okay. We're not going to be okay maybe by 2022, but we're going to be okay if we step up and do what we need to do.
Ben?
Nah, that's it. That's that on that.
Well, speaking of Joe Manchin, though, we have AOC who recently spoke out slamming the filibuster, right? And she was calling out Joe Manchin and speaking directly to him, and being somebody in the Democratic Party. I mean, like what we were just talking about, it's going to be up to us to call out these people, especially when you're sharing the space with these people and, you have the opportunity to speak against them and not be afraid. And this is what AOC recently did. Let's take a look.
Well, no, Democrats have 3 votes to spare in the House. So if the White House comes to you, if Democratic leaders come to you and say, this is the best you're going to get right now, would you and fellow progressives still say no to this?
Well, I think the thing is that this isn't the best that we can get. And I do think that we need to talk about the elephant in the room, which is Senate Democrats, which are blocking crucial items in a Democratic agenda for reasons that I don't think hold a lot of water. And for folks saying, okay, where are you going to get these 50 votes? I think we really need to start asking some of these Democratic senators where they plan on getting 60 votes. These 10 Republican senators, that there's a theory that we're going to get support for that out there, I think is a claim that doesn't really hold water, particularly when we can't even get 10 senators to support a January 6th commission.
Yeah, no, I hear
and
you
so I
generally
think that the
speaking,
argument that we...
But on this particular bill, they have 5. And, my understanding is that it is possible, if everything comes together, they could get 10. So just on infrastructure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I think then the question that we have to make is that there's a fork in the road, which is, do we settle for much less and an infrastructure package that has been largely designed by Republicans in order to get 60 votes? Or can we really transform this country, create millions of union jobs, revamp our power grid, get people's bridges fixed and schools rebuilt with 51 or 50 Democratic votes? And I think the argument that we need to make here is that it's worth going it alone if we can do more for working people in this country. With 50 votes, we have the potential to lower the age of Medicare eligibility so that more people can be covered and guaranteed to their right to health care, as opposed to, 60 votes where we do very, very little. And the scope of that is defined by a Republican minority that has not been elected to lead.
So
I think that's very important, what she said, right? It's like she said, let's go in alone. We don't want to add on the people like the Joe Mancins and the Kirsten Sinemas and everyone else who's following them, who claim to be in the Democratic Party and for the people. We don't want to add them on anymore, because when we do, it's problematic. They're the ones that hold the party back from doing what needs to be done for people, right? From getting the people what they need, whether that's Medicare for all or any other, ideas and, things that they want to put in place that benefit people instead of bring us more apart. And that is what the Kirsten Sinemas and the Joe Mancins are put in place to do, because they say they represent something that's supposed to represent what AOC represents, right? Yet they have these ideals and these ways that benefit the Republican Party. So what she's saying to me is really on point. What's your take on it, Egberto?
Rebecca, let me tell you what I am very concerned about. Narrative. We have all the numbers in favor of progressives right now. If you do all the polls for the voting, the S1 bill, the voting bill, 70% support, including inside of West Virginia. If we take a look at Medicare for all, 65% support. If we take a look at family leave, all these things have true bipartisan support, right? Mm-hmm. So the one part of when I saw AOC and I was watching her on CNN, I was in the screen pulling strings saying, please say this, please say this, please say this. Please say that most Americans support what we want. Please say that what these guys are, that it's not bipartisan to go with what Republicans want in Congress now. That is anti-bipartisan. What the Republicans are asking for, what the Democrats are asking for, is what the people are asking for, including their constituents. And we are not saying that. We are just saying we're trying to be bipartisan. We are not trying to be bipartisan. We are trying to be bi-Republican.
Come on.
Come on, man. That's
That's
good.
a word,
That's good.
Egberto.
Yeah. Yeah. Thinking about even the way they're framing it, fighting back is poor. They're really good at which begs the question, are they doing this on purpose?
Oh my God, Ben, why did you say that? Because I actually said that when we talk about the establishment, many times we talk about the establishment Democrats and the establishment Republicans. There's no establishment Democrats and their establishment Republicans. There is the left, there's the establishment, and then there's the right.
Yeah.
That is what we have in this country, and they protect each other. In other words, the establishment Democrats protect the establishment Republicans. And what we have to start doing is pointing that out, because we have to peel, in my opinion, that is, we have to peel off the marginal establishment Democrats onto our side and the marginal Republican. And believe it, there is the numbers say there is a coalition to be had between even some not in the establishment, but on the right of the establishment for some of the policies that we actually support and want.
So it's not as though some of the people who are on the left have the wrong diagnosis. It is one party.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
But the solutions that they're offering aren't really the solutions to fixing this. Like, let's just, forcing the vote would not fix the problem that we have right now. That is not only a barrier to 15 an hour, it's a barrier to Medicare for all. It's a barrier to voting rights. So what is the strategy? How do we actually get something done, Egberto?
Well, I think what happens is that the play has always been the left will come along, and for the people on the right will come along. I think we're going to have to feel some short-term pain. I think we got enough policy to get some of us over the hump. I was on a program and I told the person, I don't remember exactly which one, and I said, there are people that are doing so bad. The reason why they don't vote is because they say, whenever we vote, yes, we support that bulk of the people in the middle, but in reality, things are always bad for us. So whether it's the left or the right in control, it doesn't matter. So I think in the short term, we may need to feel some pain. In other words, say, no, we're simply not going to go for it. And then enough of us, like your program, and look, we're not going to get the mainstream media, but guess what we have? We have your show. We have many others like that. I think in the long run, we're going to have to establish a cohesive coalition that puts out a message, so that if you're listening to the Benjamin Dixon Show, if you're listening to Politics Done Right, if you're listening to TYT, if you're listening to all these other platforms, you're hearing the same. You're hearing the same message, and that message being 2022 will determine the future of this country, because finally we're going to have people who are representative of the policies we want. I mean, we're not going to put it in a corny way that I said it. I mean, I'm pretty sure Rebecca and you can do a much better job.
It wasn't corny. What you're saying is right on point. It doesn't need to be padded. It doesn't need to be extra, but that is a point that people need to understand, that 2022 is just tomorrow.
Right.
And if we need to really realize and hone in on who is going to take these seats. Like, it's a very important time for us to really look at who our leaders are and who we can get out of here and who we can replace them with.
Can I say one thing? Because and I think this is important, right? If Biden, if we run away from making a deal because we said it's just not good enough, the mainstream media is going to spin it as a loss, and that for some reason then Republicans who wanted less should take over. I think that is a message we have to be prepared to go ahead and go against. No, it failed because those on the right didn't want policies for people, and then we go out and tell them what policies we're providing to them that's going to help them bread and butter around that table and for jobs.
But Egberto, this is the same game we've been playing with these fools for the last, since the inception of this country.
Yes.
Right. There've always been poor white people who should have had more in common with black folks than they ever had with the rich, with their aristocracy class. Right. But but they are more determined to hang on to their racism than they are having any real solidarity with black, because the policies that they don't want are policies that are going to help black people. And because this is why they fight so hard against critical race theory. It's why they fight so hard against, they're going to fight doubly hard against Medicare for all. It's not just because they're against the idea of privatized healthcare, but deeply rooted in this country. They don't want to do anything for black folks here.
The thing about it is we make, there's a economist, and this is going to come over wrong to some of my black brothers and sisters, but this economist said the white is the new black. And when he said that, it raised a hell of a lot of hell, right? Because how dare you put these poor white people in this, going through the same pains that black folk has gone through. I mean, there's some issues that with the statement, but I tell you what, I treat racism as a disease because it is. I treat it as an illness, right? And in treating it as an illness, Ben, sometimes chemotherapy works and sometimes chemotherapy doesn't work. Right, right now, the capitalism has hit so far the fan. If you talk to guys like Richard Wolff and these guys, you see that it is so dysfunctional now that, look, you can be the biggest racist on the planet, but if you're starving and things continue to get worse, you're in the foxhole with a brother, guess what happens? So I am, like I tell people, I'm not trying, like I live in a very red area. I'm not trying to get people, and where there are quite a few racists as well. I'm not trying to get you to love me. I'm just trying to get you to vote for your interests. But see that in voting for your interests, somehow you ain't doing me a favor. You're doing you a favor. So, I mean, we have to try different techniques, right? And all of us don't have the answers. I don't have all the answers, but I've been trying all kind of techniques and seeing what actually works with some. You see my show, I get a whole lot of conservatives that come on and fight to the T. But every now and then you have that breakthrough, and if you break through to one, that one is going to break through to a few others, and we don't need them all. That's the thing.
They're doing the Lord's work.
Yeah.
I don't know about that, but
you're doing good work.
It's the Lord's work, okay? It's the Lord's work, okay? It's something that's helping us here, whatever, the universe, whoever. It's good work, okay?
It's good work.
Hey, I like that whoever. I like that accent, man. Whoever.
Oh yeah, get you two together. It's an accent frenzy around here.
It's an accent frenzy. Because they look at us and they don't expect, and then Egberto opens his mouth and they're like, "What? What the hell is that?" I get it. I'm right here with you. I get it. So, but it was definitely good having you on this morning. We would have loved to keep you forever and ever. So you're definitely coming back because you're our best friend to the show. You're like our cousin to the show.
I love your show because I think you guys are young, you're active, you're doing stuff. That is all the things that we need, because that's what's going to change the country, my friends. That is what's going to do it. You guys going to do it.
Thank you. And then having you guys as well, because I don't know, I don't want to call you not young, because to me, you still young and fresh. Okay.
Yeah, we're young, man. We're young.
Yeah, we're young. So even the people, anybody who's doing the work in this space, you guys are assisting us, paving the road for us to do what we need to do. And you're definitely getting in there and getting in those others' face, the opposition's face, head on. So that's the best part of it. So continue to do what you do, and we will see you again, my friend.
Thank you so kindly. Y'all have a wonderful day, and it was an honor being with you.
Hey.
Egberto.
I can't. Rebecca. It's easier to say it at the beginning. Rebecca. It's so much easier to say.
You're just saying Rebecca. You're just trying to make it with the accent.
Rebecca.
There you go.
She might be on.
She is on something. People be like, Egberto or whatever. Yeah, no, it's
Cheerios. Like go get you some cereal.
No, you're giving me like, can I have some more, please? That's what you're giving me. Cheerios.
Cheerios.
Or the Africans, they be like, after everything they say, they'll be like, are you really serious? Or like, why? Why the O at the end? But then I'm Haitian, and my parents be doing the same thing, just with a different accent. It's the different O's and the different ways. Accents are beautiful. Speaking of accents, I did want to start off with this, and I know we're going to cut to a break real quick, but I wanted to discuss the show that I saw recently on Netflix, and it's called High on the Hog. And if you haven't seen it, it's like a documentary, and it discusses, and I'm only on the second episode, and it discusses how food is transcendental. I hope that's the word I'm using, but between us as Black people, you know, and it definitely brings us together. And from the foods, the guy on the show, he started off and he went to Benin, which is an island country out in Africa, and it's near Nigeria on the coast. And he went to Benin, and he's like, "This is where I'm from," and things like that. And he was speaking to some researchers about the food there and about yams and how we be like, "Oh, we're cooking candied." Was it yams or is it potato, sweet potato, right? And it's like actually not yams here. They couldn't afford to really have the yams here, so they were doing sweet potatoes and just saying it was yams. So a lot of times we go to restaurants and they're saying, "Oh, I'm eating candied yams" or whatever, and it's like, nah, it's a sweet potato. And they were talking about that. But on the second episode, it got deep, it got real, and it pissed me off. They went down to Charleston. And there was the accents that we don't really hear when we go to South Carolina, unless you go to that area, and that's Charleston. Geechee, and the accents that they have there. And it's very close to what you would hear in New Orleans. And we're talking about accents, right? And the accents were kind of what they kept because of what was, you know, the slaves that got there and things like that. And the people that are there are so well versed. They're so educated. We're talking about critical race theory. There's so much that we don't even know, right? There's people that live out there, and for us, we wouldn't dare live in the woods over there by oh God, the
it's
trees
real out there.
and the swamps and the beach and all of that. We would be scared, right? And we're like, what's in the bushes? These people are living where their ancestors live. A lot of people left, and some people stayed and continued a lot of the traditions and stuff.
Right.
So there was one girl who left and came back home, and she wanted to start learning about food. And they were talking about how okra, gumbo, all the stuff, and their accents were just so beautiful, man. And one of the tidbits that I got from that, you guys, was that they had to move a lot of land around because a lot of rice was cooked in Charleston. And they had to move a lot of land around so that they can continue the rice growing. And they said that they moved so much land around. And it was the Black folks that did it, the slaves that did it. They moved so much land around. It was so much more land than they did to make the pyramids, y'all. The pyramids. These slaves got there, and because the area looked a lot like some places in Africa, they thought it was a cruel joke that they dropped them off over here in this beachy, watery land, and they thought they just put them somewhere else. They're back home. But that's why a lot of people took to that area in Charleston, and it has this really deep, profound historical just memories and everything. And people that stayed want to save the food and the culture but here go white folks.
Of course.
Here go white folks. There is an area where a young woman came back from where she was from, and she said that she wanted to start learning about her history there. And her grandfather was teaching her about the Greens and stuff, and their whole culture, her whole family comes from there. She has grandfathers, uncles, down the street, right? And she came back and she was wanting to teach people about the foods there. So she would do like this thing, an event every other night or weekly where everybody would come together as family, or people in the area, and they would just eat a meal and discuss the meal and how it made them feel. And they were talking about how that's why we call it soul food, because when we eat our food, we literally feel it, and it's soulful, and it's something that they say it's like love and God. It's something that you can't feel or something that you can't see, but you can feel. And it's like family. And that's why we chose the name of something that we can feel about our food, and that's soul food. So she was discussing that. And then she said, they're going to be building a highway cutting right into this area where I do this, and into my grandfather's and my uncle's area. And they've lived here their whole lives. Now they're going to have to pack it up because they didn't want this land. They gave us this land. The Black folks, they gave us the unwanted part of the land.
And now they want it back.
And now they want it because we grew it. When they gave that part of the land back in the day, historically, nothing would grow there. Nothing would grow there. Then Black folks and their golden touch had things start growing there. And now they want the land. And there's nothing that they can do about it. And the grandfather on that second episode, spoiler alert, he came in and he came in literally sad as she was showing the documentarian. She was showing him, hey, this is what we do. Da, da, da. Grandfather or uncle just walks over with like some fermented a drink for them in like a gallon. It was so beautiful, and he gave it to them. And
like moonshine.
Yes, like moonshine. And she's like, come sit with us. And he just like, nah, you guys do what you do. And she started crying, and she said, it's so crazy because we're literally moving out in a few days. I've been packing him up, and he's been heartbroken, and for him to come out here and make this for us as we sit here and still come out here and make this for us. She just started crying, and I felt that. She said, that's why I say this is more than just like us sitting around here. This food brings us together. This, and she was holding the gallon, brings us together. This is soul food. And they're taking that away from us. And there's nothing that we can do about it. Man, I was ready to fight, bro. I was like, what's up? What's up? Because I was like, man, I was watching it and I was like, I had to go pick up my sister from the airport. I'm like, I just can't stand white folks gathering my keys and stuff. I'm like, they always taking something from us. I was really upset, but I say that to say there's so much surrounding critical race theory. They haven't taught us anything about Charleston. That is a big thing to know, that the slaves that were brought here were bamboozled into thinking that they were back at Africa. Yep. And because of the environment was similar. And then they moved so much land to create what Charleston is today, that it was so much land, more than what they did with the pyramids. Make it make sense. Like, that we were put to nobody's work, and we still kept, they also said this too. We kept pushing on, y'all. We kept moving forward to this day. To this day, we do the same thing. There is nothing that can really stop us. We're going to make good with what we can make good for. They gave us the worst parts of the pig, and we made pig foot and all this other stuff and made it work. Right. And I absolutely love that food can bring us together and show us who we are and where we come from. It all is like, we can all take it back to Africa. Little things that we do, like when we want to taste the hot food, and we put it on our wrist and just to taste it, because we're not putting our mouth on the spoon, right? That's what, and that transcends all of our cultures. If you Black, you just know that nobody knows where it came from, but it came from somebody up the line, right? And we all know that. Haitians, Black Americans, Afro-Latinas,
diaspora,
just everything, right? I love it. I love it so much. So critical race theory is a thing. We need to start teaching our children what's up. Accents are beautiful, no matter who it comes from. Black people come in all different shapes, sizes, forms, and our accents is what makes us who we are, even in the United States. I just heard somebody from Baltimore say a few words. Didn't know what the hell they was talking about, but it was an accent, and it was beautiful, right? Yeah, too blue. I don't know what they're saying, but it's beautiful. I'm like, are they English? Are they not? It's just beautiful how we have accents and how we come from all these different places. But shout out to Egberto once again. We're gonna take a quick break, and when we come back, we have more Like It or Not right after this.
All right, y'all, our new patrons for last week. We have Craig Z, Grant E, Moses W, Peter Low Frequency. New Twitch subscribers, we have Good for Gabby. We have Cannabis Clay. Shout out Cannabis Clay, who subscribed for 1 month and commented, good morning, good morning, good morning. Cannabis Clay, I appreciate you. Funky Pug 313, free subscribed for 1 month, and they have been subscribed for 6 months, man. Hey, we greatly appreciate y'all. We cannot do this without y'all, so I greatly appreciate it. And if you do want to support, you can. Patreon.com/likeitandnot, y'all. Patreon.com/likeitandnot.
It was hilarious just now. Ben told me to put on my new funky
headphones.
headphones, and because I have this fitted dress on, you can't just be like, oh, pop it in. Da-da-da-da. She has to go down. Like back in the days when I used to work at when I used to work on, local news and things like that, that fitted dress, you have to just throw it down in there and throw it to the back. That's just what you had to do. But I can't do that just like 2 seconds right now because I got to figure out the process. Yeah, we'll forget. Well, my dress won't be fitted tomorrow. Praise God for Jesus. But we do have another guest for this morning, and she is here. It's Princess Blanding, candidate for Virginia governor. Mm. There she is. How morning, are you Princess. This morning, Miss Princess?
Good morning. Thank you all for having me. I'm well.
Great. Now, okay. So let's get right into it. There is let people know who you are. You're running for Virginia candidate for governor, but you're running for you're running as an independent, and you're running under the Liberation Party. Could you let us know who you are and about the Independent and Liberation Party?
Sure. So again, my name is Princess Blandon, and I'm very thankful that we just last week we got the news that we did make it on the ballot, so that I can run for governor under the newly formed Liberation Party. And so a little bit of background information about me. I was born and raised in upstate New York, a small city called Newburgh, New York. Around 2001, my family moved us, about 12 of us down from New York to the Middle Peninsula of Virginia, just to give us a better chance. It was pretty rough up there, still is in Newburgh, New York. And I moved from New York to Baltimore, Maryland to pursue my bachelor's degree in biology, as at the time I knew that I was going to be a doctor. I thought I was going to be a doctor, a pediatrician. And later on found out that that was not my calling. Went to school to pursue my education as a teacher. And I became a 8th grade physical science teacher in Essex County. And just fast forwarding, a few years later, I earned my master's in EDS in education administration and supervision, and became a school administrator at the high school and elementary school level. That's where things changed. Back in 2018, May 14th, 2018, at the high school where I was the assistant principal at, we lost a science teacher, and we needed somebody to fill in very quickly for a biology teacher position. And, if you know anything about education, teachers, are in short supply, high demand, and especially science teachers. And so I knew that one of my brothers, Marcus David Peters, had an undergraduate degree in biology. And so I reached out to him kind of with a hope and a strong prayer that he would be interested and fill in a position, and he did. So October of 2018, my brother Marcus David Peters joined our team, and he filled the position of biology teacher. On May 14th, 2018, after my brother completed a full day of teaching high school biology, he headed home towards Richmond, his home in Henrico, and something went to the left. He had a mental health crisis. His very first mental health crisis. A Richmond police officer murdered my brother while he was completely unarmed. At the time, he was completely undressed. And as the police officer stated, that he was experiencing a mental health crisis. I was the last family member to see my brother alive, as he was a teacher at the school that I was an assistant principal at. And I remember, coming home later on that day, and I was actually on the phone with one of my siblings, and she quickly said to me, hold on, I need to click over. And then when she clicked back on to me, she was just hysterical. She was screaming. She said, Poppy, which is his nickname, Poppy's in a hospital. We need to get up there. Now, understand that my family and I live about an hour, 15, 20 minutes away. And so without knowing much, we just knew that our loved one was in trouble. We rushed up to Richmond, and I was in a vehicle with my mother. And I remember her on the phone saying, just tell me you didn't shoot him in the head. And her hope was that whatever happened to him, they told her that he was shot, but they were really not wanting to give much more information. But she was just hoping that if he was shot anywhere else, that he would have a chance. And they finally told her that he was shot in his abdomen. Fast forward, my brother he did not make it. And I remember seeing news headlines basically with the narrative, crazy naked black man. And I knew that was not who my brother Marcus David Peters was. So there was no time to grieve. I had to quickly jump into action because my brother wasn't here to defend himself. And I refused to allow that narrative to move forward. And, what we saw was that the city of Richmond, the state of Virginia, the media, they took my brother's worst moment of his life and they tried to allow it to erase all of the amazing things that he did. And so just continuing to fast forward, since 2018, after my brother's murder, myself and countless supporters and family members have pleaded with our local and state legislators to enact legislation to have mental health professionals answer these calls of mental health crisis and not police officers.
Yes.
We know that in America, that being Black is a death sentence in itself. And so if you're Black and you're experiencing atypical behaviors, that puts you at an even higher risk. And again, we're realistic, so we know we can't bring them back. But what we do know is that our legislators can do more and say less. Enact legislation, that calls on the mental health professionals. We pleaded, for the creation of independent civilian review boards with subpoena power, to hold police officers accountable. And we received nothing but disrespect. They ignored our calls until, fast forwarding some more, the summer of 2020, after the unjust murder of George Floyd. And as with the rest of the nation, there was a strong uprising in Richmond, which I had a heavy hand in. And, as we continued to mobilize day after day, finally legislators reached out to me and said, that Marcus alert that you were calling for, we need to have that. And they said, I want you to work with us to create a bill, for the Marcus alert, and work with us on a bill for independent civilian review boards, and work with us on a bill to end qualified immunity. And what we essentially saw was that our legislators, it was very performative. It was definitely performative because they waited until things got out of control, and fear, pricked them before they said, oh, let's work on these things. But what we ended up getting was weak, watered down legislation, or they killed the bills altogether, and it was those moments, that myself and so many others said, what, it's time for the rise of a strong independent party, because we can't keep doing the same thing and expect different results. And, at that time, I personally did not plan on running for governor. We were doing everything that they told us to do. I spoke before General Assembly, everything that we were told to do, and it wasn't working. And so I came to the conclusion that we cannot keep begging our oppressors to be our saviors, because they simply won't. And, it was during those times that I said, we have to expand our fight from the streets into the seats of these key elected positions in order to claim the full course meal that we all deserve. And that's what brought me to the point that I am now.
Okay. Wow. First of all, Princess, that was a lot. And thank you for giving us the background on even what got you to this place to run. You said we got to take it from the streets to the seats, and that's very important because especially somebody who's been through it, right? You handle the situations differently. The Marcus alert, that's a big deal, because so many situations, so many times we've lost our brothers, our sisters, family members, most likely always Black, when they're having a psychotic episode, they're shot. They're shot. They're not treated as anything else. They're shot down. And so having somebody else, a professional, a behavior professional, psychologist, or whoever who needs to come out there and handle that situation will be so much better. But it's crazy that they would, and they would be performative, because it sounds good, especially with the the last situation with George Floyd. Let's hop on the train, but once it slows down, let's back away. So you stepping into a position where you can make it definite, where you could possibly make it definite, where we're changing things is great. So you are running again as an independent, and you're running under the Liberation Party. Could you explain the Liberation Party?
Absolutely. So in a nutshell, as the chair of the Liberation Party, as the first candidate running under the Liberation Party, we are strong believers that liberation is a human right, not a privilege, and that must be reflected in our legislation. So when we say that liberation is a human right, not a privilege, we're saying that access to housing, that is something that no one should be denied.
Yes.
When we talk about food sovereignty, that is something, access to healthy foods is something that no one should be denied. When we talk about healthcare, and Medicare for all, that is something that no one should be denied. What we're essentially talking about is humanity. And that's what that's one of the key pillars of the Liberation Party is humanity and equity. We are basically fighting for our basic needs to be met. If you heard anything that I just said, that's at the bottom, of Maslow's hierarchies of needs. And it's very, it's concerning, it's problemsome that we have to fight for just our mere existence. There is a clear divide, there always has been, between the haves and the have-nots. And what we see is that this two-party system continuously throws us crumbs and we deserve, and we are here to claim the full course meal. And so, again, what I saw working with a lot of these legislators is that they continuously put politics and profit over the needs of people. Looking just around the primary time, we had two other Black females who were running very heavily on being the first Black woman, which that is not at the forefront of my campaign. You can look at me and tell that I am a Black woman, right? However, they pushed very hard for being the first Black woman and spoke very negatively about Terry McAuliffe, who was a former governor and who won the primaries. And within less than 24 hours of him winning, they are now Team Terry McAuliffe, and you hear nothing else about a Black woman needed to be governor. So again, the contradictions and the hypocrisy, and them playing on the intellect of the voices of the unheard, I will not sit silently on. And we, the people, have a lot of power, and we will continue to enlighten, empower, and mobilize people beyond the boundaries of the Commonwealth.
And Princess, you're, and I'm going to let my co-host get in on there, but I just feel some energy right here. Your audacity to some will be radical, but this is not something that is radical. Why is getting people proper help something that's radical? Why is offering housing to everybody something that's radical? Why is telling our police officers to stop killing something radical? It's not radical, but for a lot of people, a lot of politicians like that you've worked with, they look at it as something radical. Only when it's fitting, they'll tap you on your shoulder and they'll say, "Hey, Princess, remember that time when you said, remember what you went through? Can we use you as a photo op? Can we do this?" So for you to separate yourself from those two parties and say, I'm about liberation, and that's what I stand on, they're going to look at that as radical too. Historically, we have other people who've done the same thing, separated themselves from these two parties to do something outside of that. And, I applaud you for that. Everything that you said just now, there is nothing wrong with anything that you said. Not one thing. So I'm excited that we were introduced to you. I'm excited that we get to know who Princess Blanding is. And I hope that everybody who's watching understands what she meant. I want to throw it back from the streets to the seats. You understand? Like people who have relatability, who understand, those need to be the people in the seats, because those are going to be the people who are for the people. I'm gonna give it over to DJ exclusive, DJ X3C. What's up?
Princess, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Thank you for all your work. Now let me ask you, I know this weekend marked the 5th year anniversary of the Pulse shooting, Pulse massacre. Being part of the LGBTQI plus community myself, it was a lot. And I saw that Biden recently spoke up saying that there needs to be new gun reform laws put in place. And he actually said this on the day, and also mentioned that the memorial would be deemed a memorial. What are your thoughts and feelings on Biden's gun reform plans, or what are your feelings on the gun reform plans, period?
Right. So I'm gonna be very honest, and this I may not sit well with some people, but post the unjust murder of George Floyd and the uprising that I was right in the center of, at least in the city of Richmond, I keep myself in a very realistic position, and being black, as I stated already, we already have many targets, aimed at us. And what I refuse to do is to be a sitting duck. I have a family, and I will make sure that I protect my family. And so I am licensed to carry a firearm, and I will make sure that I, do so, and I make sure that other people understand their rights. So let me not go too far to the left. I do support gun ownership, and I believe that we need to get to the why variable. See, the Democratic Party does a great job pushing out the narrative that they want to push out. Eliminating guns is not the solution. I'm from New York. There's something called the black market, okay? And so a person that wants to get their hands on a gun will get their hands on a gun. But we need to get to the why variable. Why is all of the crimes happening? And until we start addressing things at the root, we're going to continue to get the same results. And I want to also say, kind of comment on something that you talked about, Rebecca. They can say that I am radical. I say that I am realistic. Okay.
Yes.
And oftentimes the narrative is pushed out that, supporting a third party or will split the vote. Okay. Right now, the Democratic Party is scared, and they should be. Okay. It is due to their continuous failures that I, myself, and so many others had to rise up. But if the true fear of the Democratic Party is that voting for a third party would split the vote and give it to the Republican, then show it. Get behind me, tell Terry McAuliffe to step down and to support me, and they have every bit of power to ensure that that does not happen. And so narratives are very important because, again, it's easy to point the finger at the third party candidate, but the Democratic Party needs to take responsibility. They must take ownership, and they have every bit of control in ensuring that the Republicans do not win. Support me.
Yeah, period. Support Princess Blanding. Ben, get in there.
I have to tie what you're saying together there, because it's not radical, because you're basically asking for survival.
Right.
We're asking for survival. Housing, clothing, food, education, healthcare. That's not radical, but you're having to run because neither party was actually dealing with the issues of survival. So your existence in this political space is the result of the fact that these parties aren't taking care of what needs to be taken care of in terms of the people's survival. So in terms of everything else that you're saying, whatever problems that they have with the idea of a third party splitting the vote, the question is why are you more concerned about that when you haven't shown any concern about our survival? Speak about that for me.
Absolutely. And, going back to a previous question, as a member of the LGBTQ community and as a Black person, we have so many X's on our backs for variables that we have no control over, and no one's taking and speaking up for us. No one's standing in defense of us. I look at over the summer during the uprising, not just in Richmond, Virginia, but across the nation. How many politicians did you see take a stand for the many LGBTQ members who were being targeted, the many Black and brown people who were being targeted? Not one. There are so many people in Richmond, Virginia that were facing felony charges. There were so many women, father, children, who were being attacked by the police, and no one stood up for us. So again, I say, as I said earlier, why should we continue to do the same thing and expect different results? Why should we continue to vote blue no matter who, when that is causing us harm? When that is causing us to be filling up these prisons? When that is causing us to be burying our babies? Again, I am doing this not because I am a seasoned politician, because I am not, but I am an impacted Virginian. What better person to have speak and represent you than somebody who is directly impacted? So again, narratives are really important, and we must, I say that the two-party system continues to move forward, because this system has done a number on us. So many of us, how can I say it nicely? Our brains have been conditioned for so long that no matter what they tell us, even when 2 + 2 doesn't equal 4, we say, well, they're in power. They must know what's best for us, right? But then look at the results of that, right? It's been well over 400 years and we have not made enough progress. I hear them say, oh, we passed this bill, but we have more work to do. Then say less and do more, do it, right? You guys in Virginia, the Democratic Party is the majority in the House, the Senate, and we have a Democratic governor. There is no reason why the things that we have been demanding, which all equate to humanity and equity, should not have been passed. Twice within 6 months, the bill to end qualified immunity to hold police accountable was killed by the Democratic Party twice. So again, why would we and why should we continue to vote blue no matter who? But until we get out there and enlighten, empower, and start mobilizing people, they will continue to move forward. I will say that it was very hard for me to get on the ballot. It was very hard. That was no easy task at all. But because we did not have access to funds to purchase voter registration information, we knocked on every door. We didn't know if it was a red or a blue door or an independent door, but that worked in our favor because people across party lines, once they heard what we were about, they were very supportive. They embraced us with open arms, and we will continue to do what we do best, which is boots on the ground and mobilize the Commonwealth.
Yes.
Say less.
Say less,
More.
Look, say less, princess. Okay. This is where we're gonna listen. I'm putting you up there with my other folks, my Nina Turners, my Cori Bush, because I love the empowered women who step in there. And then these women who've been in the streets, who know the life, who've experienced loss, who've experienced homelessness, who've experienced immigration issues, who've experienced everything, and they're the ones that are in the seat because they can move at a place where they understand instead of people who just don't care. And it's as simple as put, it can't be vote blue no matter who. It just can't be that. And I remember that being a thing and being said. And I understood it at that time a long time ago, but we have progressed since then mentally. We're liberating our minds. Shouts out to the Liberation Party. So definitely, if you guys are in VA, Princess Blanding is running for governor. Please, please, please support. Where can they find you, Princess?
Yes.
Absolutely. You can probably find me knocking on your door because I stay boots on the ground. But for more information, you can visit us at www.princessblandon.com. Our team is very responsive. I answer a lot of the email calls because I believe in communicating directly with Virginians. And so visit us on our website for more information or to reach out to us.
Yes. And where can they find you on social media if they want to follow and follow everything that you're saying and doing as well?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, man, am I not the tech savvy person? I'm gonna tell y'all right now, but hold on. I'll let you know I'm so not tech savvy.
Well, we have your Twitter handle.
Is that your Twitter on screen now?
Friend Blanding VA.
There we go. You got it.
There it is. So it's on the screen now. Blanding VA.
That's my weakness. I am so not tech savvy. But there we go. Thank you.
Got you. And before we leave, I was talking about accents today, and I hear a few from you. Is there something Caribbean in there? Is there a Caribbean drip in there? Is there what is it?
I'm from New York, and my students always pick on me about my New York accent, but if it is, it may be. I just got to do my ancestry.com research.
Right.
Because you're giving a little Baltimore, okay? You're giving New York, but you're giving I don't know in New York, but we're all the Caribbean.
A little British,
a little Brooklyn in there.
Yeah. I lived in Baltimore for 4.5 years. That's where I went to school.
So you're picking it up. You're picking it up.
I just heard New York come out good too.
Yeah. So and then now you're in Virginia, so you might give us a little Virginia country something. It's
worldwide. We talk about she were international.
Okay.
There we go.
I love it.
That's right. So thank you so much, Princess Blanding. Princess Blanding for governor in Virginia. Definitely check her out with the Liberation Party. It's something new. It's something fresh. It's something innovative, and it definitely will get the people going. Okay.
Yes.
So thank you once again, Princess. You enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, Princess.
Thank you all for having me.
Take care.
No problem. This gets the people going. Real. Yeah. She said, it ain't radical. It's reality. It's real. See, it's a difference when you can relate It's a difference when you know the issues. It's a difference when you actually feel the people. Listen, when Bernie speaks, he understands because he stood there, he fought for people, with people, things like that. It's great to see those examples. But when you see people that look like you fighting for those seats, and when you hear it takes me back to like the days of Malcolm X, Fred Hampton, even Martin Luther King, who people, the conservative even type, but what he said out of his mouth, people considered radical. Right. I love people who have the audacity and the audacity to get in your face, the audacity to challenge things. And her to be a Black woman, her to be a part of the LGBTQIA plus community, her to have had to deal with loss at the hands of police officers, taking away her brother, Marcus David Peters, her fighting for putting a bill in place to protect Black people who may have mental breakdowns, just on the way home. Simple as that. When police arrive, they shouldn't be the ones on the scene. Professionals should be the ones on the scene. Listen, y'all know I love when a Black woman come on and speak, okay? And she was very liberating. I feel free. I feel like
it was great.
All of our Virginia supporters, check her out. We have them. They're those
VA, baby.
We have a good following from Virginia.
Believe that. VA. We got a lot of folks from VA.
Yes.
Right.
So all of y'all who I want you guys, I hope that you guys felt empowered.
Virginia crew.
Yeah, I hope that you guys felt empowered. Shout out to what's his name in Virginia? Look, Dwayne, if you watching. Okay.
Tiger already sent a super chat saying, please let me come work for you. And so Tiger,
reach out to her.
Make sure that you hit her up. Go to her website, send her an email. You never know what might happen.
Yeah, definitely reach out to her. And Dwayne, if you're watching, you as well. Check her out.
Princess was on fire.
Yeah.
Princess was literally. She's the truth. And
wherever we can get her too.
People a lot of heartburn over there.
Oh yeah, wherever we can get her, she about to shake things up. She's shaking the table. She about to hit white folks in the trachea. Okay, she about to give them a real good one. So exactly, they're gonna be like,
"You ready, man?
I'm not racist."
Bow.
Love it. So look, there's so much more that we have on our radar today. I just feel really empowered from that, though. That was beautiful.
Yeah, like for real.
That was everything. I don't know. I don't even know where to go. Look, I don't know where to go from here. There's so much. How do we just pivot into something else? Like,
this is where you just sit and bask in the glory, right? This is where you just sit.
The glory that is Black women. Black women.
Is y'all doing y'all damn thing?
Yeah.
Appreciate y'all.
Yeah, y'all are.
Yeah.
Y'all are dope.
Just gotta sit there.
Black women.
Black women. Black women, black women, black women.
Just
we need the freestyle, jazz club kind of spoken word music.
All you heard was Ben in the background. Watch me talking.
You see, we need to set the vibe. We gotta have some music.
I was like,
because she was all I needed was some incense.
It was poetry. It was the Songs of Solomon. It was
poetry, emotion.
It was giving us what needed to be gave. Okay, it was like
it was an inconvenient truth.
Yeah, it was reality.
It was reality.
I loved it, man. Wow. I wasn't expecting that because I was like, we don't know her, but this is gonna be a beautiful moment to get to know somebody. And dang, I love getting to know people. If y'all running for something and you Black, definitely reach out to our show because I would love to get to know you. And I hope that you're running on not everybody.
Know your issues,
David is gonna vet them. Not everybody it works, but
we check your Twitter timeline too. We need to know where you at. We need to know what kind of if you're a liberationist, if you're seeking the liberation of all people, cool.
Ben, you're seeking the liberation of all people. When she said that, I
Yeah.
thought of you. I thought of, I was like, ooh, they share the same, ideals. Because Ben, I know that there was at one point you used to consider yourself a free man. Are you still a free man?
Oh, I'm the freest black man.
Say that, brother.
We only gonna get freer from here.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
And
Because the
and
more,
one
the more
day,
I'm only as free as the people around me are free. So I got to get y'all free.
I was about to say that. And one day,
I gotta get
too
y'all
shall be free. I will be free.
We get
from
y'all
the
free.
chains of corporations.
Well, watch how this works. We're gonna use this show not only to get y'all free, but we're gonna get y'all peoples free.
Oh.
We're gonna spread liberation through this show. I'm just anybody.
Hallelujah.
Do I have a
Feel it in
witness
my
out there?
shirt,
So not only are we gonna
Ben.
get y'all free, we gonna get y'all peoples free, my people's free, our people's free. We gonna bring reparations to our own self. We ain't what we waiting on the government to do it for. They ain't gonna ever do it for us. We got to do it for ourselves.
They say
Send up them super chats right now. Send up all them super chats, all that liberation, all that white guilt, all that stuff that y'all want to find a way to help black folks get free. We starting right here.
Come on, right now.
Yeah.
This is the super chat moment. You just heard it. You just heard what the boss said. Okay,
The boss.
He's trying to free everybody.
They just bring me out here to raise the offerings. That's all.
This is the collection plate being passed
I ain't say
around.
nothing else the whole episode.
This is the collection plate moment. But Ben, you said something. You said we're going to give ourselves reparations. We're going to be in control of that, because if we wait on the government to give it to us, we'll be waiting like we've been waiting for the politicians to make moves.
Waiting like y'all waiting on Jesus to come back. Y'all been saying Jesus coming back every year since he left.
And yet we don't know. See here, and we can use that as a great example, Ben, right there. He says we don't know the time or the hour or whatever he said.
We
But
got to occupy until he return. We got to take care of ourselves.
We don't know that. So if we're gonna wait for that, not knowing, listen, he gave us the opportunity. Allah, whoever you serve, is giving us the opportunity to do what we need to do, get it done. And then he's still gonna come when he want to come. Okay,
right?
Listen,
we still got work to do in the meantime.
Yeah, we still got to do the work.
I still ain't got 40 acres.
Yeah, and I ain't got a mule. And I ain't got no mule. Okay.
The closest thing to 40 acres in the mule was Spike Lee Company.
Yeah, that's the closest thing we got to 40 acres in the mule was a couple movies.
That's it.
That's it.
We so black. Oh Lord. And I love it. Black people.
Man,
let me stop. Listen, we have
I
so
need to
much.
go put my glasses on so I can see y'all better. Hey,
go ahead. Listen, we got some COVID updates. And it's been a minute since we discussed COVID, but don't worry, we are still monitoring it and we are still moving, or we should be moving like COVID is still a thing. A panoramic is still out there. The panini bread is still cooking. Okay, a pancake is still out. So 33.4 million cases of COVID in the United States so far. And we just crossed 600,000 confirmed deaths, all in just over a year of the pandemic. Let's take a look at what Biden had to say.
I think there's a possibility over 2022 going into 2023 that we would be able to be in a position to provide another billion, us. But that's not done yet. I've been very careful as I've dealt with this pandemic to tell you what I know and say what I thought could be done. And when I've announced it, I've gone and done it. What I don't want to do is be getting too far ahead and suggesting that we can do things and I can do things, the United States can do things that I don't have done yet. So there was a clear consensus among all our colleagues at the G7 that this wasn't the end. We were going to stay at it until we were able to provide for the needs of the whole world in terms, because look, it's not just the right thing to do, and from a how can I say it, from a moral standpoint, but it is also the correct thing to do in terms of our own health, our own security. You can't build a wall high enough to keep out new strains. You can't do that. And so I think this is going to be a constant project for a long time. And there may be other pandemics. Setting up a system whereby we can detect before it gets out of control a pandemic that may be on the horizon, a virus, is important. So.
All right.
No, go ahead, Ben.
Oh, no. I was just thinking, it was hard to understand what he was saying. And then I locked in. He's talking about the vaccines.
Yeah.
He's talking about our need to vaccine the world, and that if we don't get vaccines, which is strange because it's been quite the issue over the last couple of months of how much we've had to push Biden to share the vaccine. That didn't come easily. And now he's saying that he wants to make sure that the world gets vaccinated because, you can't keep out a variant of this. Like what's going on in India right now is a perfect conditions for us to have a variant strain of COVID-19 that will, potentially be immune or unmoved by our vaccine. Right? There's a word for it. It escapes me. But that said, we got to get this vaccine out to the global community. We have to. Because if the rest of the world isn't vaccinated, we're just sitting and waiting for a mutation to come for us to start this all over again.
And then there's already another variation here running in the United States, the Delta variation. So it has reached here. So it's like now it's like, okay, I need another vaccine. You better yet, I'm just gonna stay in the house again. Still,
I ain't going nowhere, bro.
I don't trust it.
Wow, that's hard for me to
y'all.
say. It's hard for me to stay in the house, but it is easy for me to control where I go and what I do.
Yeah.
Now, I still go to the grocery stores and things like that. I can't do another year in the house though. I'm gonna go crazy. My hair is already waving up. Y'all see, I haven't gotten my hair straightened in a year. I am back natural. Okay, so like it's a lot. So I am not. I'm gonna be very. I've changed since that year. I can't go into environments that are totally compacted with people and think I can go home and be around another set of people. I still monitor myself. I can't be in rooms full of people like that. But I definitely am going to be in these streets though, it's happening. It's happening. But I say that to say, to take care of yourselves, guys, monitor yourselves. If you're going to go out, please just act like, okay, let me get back home. Let me quarantine. Let me figure out how I am, because you don't know if you can still be carrying it over to somebody who can get it. Just be careful. Yeah. Now he said that he promised $1 billion. G7 promised $1 billion internationally,
and we need 11.
Right? We need 11 billion. So here's the thing: you think about it, and who is that going to get to? Is it going to get to the predominantly white communities around the world? Is it going to get to the communities that they call third world? Are they going to go there with about 3 canisters or whatever and say that they did something there? We know how they move out here. We know how they work.
They so just give us enough just to keep us hanging on.
And for people who want it, like I know there are people around the world who really want to feel safe, and what's funny is they're giving stories and what's about people who are vaccinated and still getting COVID, which nobody ever said that you can't get COVID if you're vaccinated. They say it lowers your chances. You will not die. It lowers your chances of death, and it lowers your chances of coming to the hospital or giving it off to other people. But nobody said it's not impossible, right? I saw a whole doctor break it down, and that wasn't said. It's something to protect you and also to protect other people. Give you better chances of doing so. And then why wouldn't you want that than getting it and possibly dying, or giving it to someone and killing them, especially a loved one or a friend?
So they care about their children. Who was that? Representative Park Cannon last week you had on? She said, I believe that she was the one that said that they had to pass legislation to stop putting their children in these labor camps.
Yeah. Yeah. And
they didn't do anything after Sandy Hook, after all those children got killed. They don't care about their.
It doesn't matter
children
anymore.
So what do you think they care about our lives?
Right.
Yeah. No, you're right. They will make it something that it's not. And like I said, I have no issue with those who haven't gotten vaccinated, as long as you're doing what you need to do. Still acting like the pandemic is a thing, keeping yourself safe. I am all for that. And being mindful. And those who have been vaccinated, still moving in that way as well. I still wear my mask when I go out. Most of my city is vaccinated. So a lot of people don't wear their mask anymore. They're going back to like the signs that say, if you feel like you got a headache, a cough, a snow, whatever, don't come in here. But how you know somebody ain't lying? You know, those kind of things. But
of course they lie.
Yeah, it's the other day I was going to get some shisha and stuff for my hookah, and I saw that sign on one of the predominant places that I go to. So I just went back into my car, down the street to the place, the next hookah joint that they allow you to wear your mask to come in. You're forced to wear your mask to come in because, you know, I'm planning on being around people the next few days and things like that. So I don't want to put myself in jeopardy. And, you know, I'm in the house. I am in the house. But when I do eventually, you know, go back out, inch out, you know, I still want to make sure I'm being careful. Like when I go see my parents and my family. So, you know, I love outside. Outside has been good to me. I got a tan too. I got a tan. So, you know, outside has been good to me. And I don't want it to be taken away from me again. I don't want to go back to the office, y'all.
Me neither.
I feel you.
They told me, because I'm having system issues with my computer for work, and I didn't make this up. You know, I didn't make this up this time. God has been good. System issues have been as a result of them. Okay.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Nope, I didn't. It just be happening.
It just happens, right?
Yeah. Yes. So this particular time wasn't something I clicked or nothing. It was as a result of what they told me to do. Broke down my whole system. Then manager had a meeting and said to us to figure anything out. You're not going to force me to go back into the office because y'all not fixing my system. That's one.
They're talking about actual. Okay, I get you. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, like they said, if you have multiple system issues with when you work. Ben, we work from home doing this. How many system issues in the mornings may we get sometimes? We had every day, but we got to keep it moving. Some days, my bootleg AT&T internet just decides, hey, I don't want to work for you today. I don't want to do anything for you. The wind blows on the east, and it tells my system to shut down. Okay, so listen,
internet is pretty bad here in this region.
Yes, and working from home, they should know that, you know. And if they're not paying for my internet, if they're not paying for my cell phone bill,
paying for your internet?
And why aren't they paying for? Why haven't they given us a phone?
Hello, me neither. I'm using
why are you subsidizing your companies?
And
they expect me to answer the phone when they call. This is my phone.
Yeah, and my phone's hanging up on people. I have a system where if the number is unknown, sweetie, I don't know it either. I don't pick it up. Okay, so you know, they don't understand. If you don't have a system put in place for us, we're working at home, and you're saying that we're not being productive. This is taking me back to the conversation that we had at some point last week. You're saying that we're not being productive. In reality, we have been so productive working in these at-home spaces that we've made you guys richer during the pandemic. We have made y'all richer during the pandemic. Y'all have made the most money, which allowed you guys, some companies, to be able to bring back on the employees that they furloughed or the ones or give them bonuses while they were out. So don't think that we played this stupid game. A lot of people just think, oh my God, I need my job. For them to have that conversation with me, or with our team, it was to put fear in us. And I will not allow that. I will not allow that, because I will walk my happy behind over to the unemployment and cash out. Don't play with me.
So it wasn't somebody dropping a bug in your ear. It wasn't like
it was the manager himself, and the manager dropped the bug. He's actually a new manager, and he cares about us. He's like he'll tell us sometimes, hey, if you're getting worn out, take a break. And I think people are telling him, hey, pup your brakes, boy. We slaving them boys. We got to make sure they stay on the system.
Don't be too kind.
And he's like, now he came back on the call. And he was like, hey, this was in a meeting that we had. They said the quickest way for you to get back into the office is to keep having system issues. And you're forced to work the hours of 8 to 5. They didn't say, you know, if you have children at home who can't be home without you being there because you don't want them to go back into the school spaces. You'll still be forced to come back into the office. This is what I'm talking about. There is no like, this person may have a life. What is their pandemic life looking like? What is, what is their, like, what's happening with them?
They don't
Their
care about your mental
anxiety, their
health.
mental health after the pandemic. What does that look like? Can they survive in the space of corporate offices right now? Can they? Twitter said Twitter said and did something really good, even though there are things I don't like about them. One thing I do love is the beginning of the pandemic when it happened and people decided to stay home. They said the ones that went home, during the now, you don't ever have to come back. You will never be forced to come back. We will still continue to keep your job, keep you here, because we understand. And that's what a lot of jobs need to understand. All y'all new kids that's applying for corporate and stuff, y'all know y'all might have to go back, but us who have witnessed and had to go through it and been home, like, no, there is no way that you can give us something like this where we are mentally stable, more mentally stable. The stress is still there. Don't get it twisted. We can be burnt out at home. There are times I'm like, I really sat in my home in the same place for almost 12 hours. No. That does something to you as well. So I walk over to my balcony. I'll, do some bird watching. I'll listen to the air. I'll watch white folks wearing weird outfits. Go over to Old Navy. I'll hear the kids at the pool area. I'll read a book. I'll do things like that. I will take a nap. I will take a nap, and there is nothing wrong with taking a nap. I will get on my stove and cook. And I don't use my kitchen much, but I'll do that for my mental stability. What can you do when you are in the corporate office for your mental stability? They like we were just talking about. Remember, Bubba, last week? They let you out twice in the day.
What'd you say for recess?
To go for recess. We're in like a jail, and they let you out twice in a day. It's either like we're in jail or we're children. They really want to have that ownership of you in corporate offices. They want to watch you and make sure you're doing right. And I'm a grown-ass woman who is still doing her job from her house, getting you paid, making you more of $1 trillion company. Respect me.
Facts.
Let my ass stay home.
Let me tell you something.
You know why they let those Twitter folks stay home? It wasn't because he was trying to be such a good guy. It's because he knew now that everybody tasted the freedom that you get, there's no way those well-to-do white folks who work for Twitter were going to ever come back.
Rebel, baby. Listen.
Those white folks are going to rebel like hell.
Listen, let me tell you something. Even us, black folks got a little taste of the crib and was like, hold on.
Wait a minute.
I took a nap.
Ain't nobody called me, hit my phone up.
On the stove. The chicken is out the freezer, defrosted. Laundry is done.
And I got my work done.
The house is clean midweek. Oh God, I had time. The time that we invested, all the time that we waste walking around. They used to make us walk around the office building as a breather. And it was like robots walking.
Whoa. Were y'all in a group?
Oh, so they would like have us on a break and we would have to pair. We wouldn't have to pair up, but we would do it just to be like human interaction.
Wait a minute. It sounds a little bit like elementary school and Handmaid's Tale.
Imagine
Handmaid's
it.
Tale.
Oh shit.
And then people who had a particular phone company, your phone didn't work in the building. Imagine being there for over 13 hours because you got, just throughout the day for over 13 hours because you got ready 2 hours before work. Me, I'm going to go with the face. I'm going to go with some hair. I'm going to go with some heels on, so I make sure at least that makes me feel good. Walking in, clickety clack, looking cute. Hey girl. And then by midday, I'm like, get me out of there. There used to be times they know at that company that they stress you out so bad that they said, you can have drinks towards the end of the day.
What?
Yeah. They said 2 drink minimum. I used to go.
What the hell?
To the bar up the street. Me and my coworkers, and we would just be drained from the day. And we'll tell the lady, Senorita, hit me. Just like that. And I would be like, and we'll make sure that one person doesn't drive, so that means doesn't drink, so we can drive
Hilarious.
back. But I'm like, Senorita just hit me, and then she'll be like, si, Senorita, and she'll just be giving us our drinks, man. We be on them like, and then we get back over there. Thank you for calling such and such. Hey, what's up? Like, what's up? Hey, listen, ma'am, we didn't ask for this. You can't pay. You can't. I don't have time for it. For the rest of the day, that's what you're gonna get from me. It's the stress of it all. But at home, we go through the same thing at home. But at home, it's like I get to force myself to be like, no, Rebecca, shake it off. Yeah. Go look. There is light outside. Don't work in the buildings that ain't got no windows.
That's the devil.
My God. You spend the whole day thinking that it was dark and the sun been shining. And by the time you leave, it's nighttime. You came there in the morning. When you left, it was nighttime. It's a sick system. It's like prison, how they put people in the hole. They put people in the hole, bro, and they tell you to come out and be okay mentally. Ain't no way, Ben. I ain't going back. Ben. Just talking about it right now. I ain't going.
This might be the most revolutionary show on the internet.
And then what Liu Kang just said, and then if I'm 2 minutes late coming back from break, you taking notes. Trying to write me up for something.
Oh yeah. I had
I'm in after call for 5 minutes. And I mean, I'm not the one that goes through that. I'm the one that monitors that. But hell, I'm going to be straight up honest. I let these people take their time. Y'all get cussed out. Y'all call bees, hoes, N-words with the strong ER at the end. Let these people rest, man. I'm going to let them rest. Y'all take y'all 10 minutes.
Mental health it's wrapped up in this whole thing, and we expect people who come out of the jail system to just come and be able to assimilate and be okay mentally, and throw them in the and be like, they're reformed, right? Oh, but you guys broke these people. Do you know that the system breaks you? And this system, the same jail system, or treating grown folks like they're children, or the ownership of a predominantly Black crew, right? By white folks, like white corporations. It's sick. It's sick. You say that you need to watch us. It's sick. You act like we don't have families that don't see us, my God, today. That don't see us ever. We got to come in and give them a kiss good night, because that's all we can afford to do. A kiss good morning and a kiss good night, because we couldn't spend no time with these damn kids. By the time the weekend comes, we tired. I ain't even a mama, but I know the struggle, Benjamin Dixon. I know the struggle of us not being able to build with our partners, to build a relationship with somebody, because you have no time for them. And miss out on a good man.
The pandemic. The pandemic slowed my ass down. And yeah, I ain't going back. I'm not going back to the life before this, where you just busy, spending all your money here. And then you come in, like you say, just all you got time to do is just see, are the kids breathing? They sleeping good? And then you go, this system will drain. This system will take everything from you.
Every single thing. And say, you're not working hard enough. There are countries that they consider third world that only do like 4-day work weeks, and in particular hours only, so that you can go home. They believe in going home, go be with your family, eating a full meal, waking up in the morning, and having time to do whatever needs to be done for your journey on back to the job. But they know. But here, for some reason, they think if you aren't being watched.
Yeah.
Especially with people who have positions of supervisor, no offense, Bubba, or or any leadership position. It's for some reason they, like my manager, he came in like, you guys, I understand what burnout is, literally on his first day. So because you guys are burned out, I need you guys to take space between your calls. Take a minute, take a breather, take a walk if need be. But just get back to work. As long as you're just doing your work, that's all I need. I'm talking one weekend, baby. One weekend. They done emailed him. They done sent him things, because we were sending him. Well, the new team was sending him like their breakdown of, I went to the bathroom for 3.5 minutes and I went to go. And I was like, what? Who's doing that? And listen, my old team, we always like, we're not doing that. We're not letting them. And then he even questioned, he said, can you guys tell me why you guys are doing that? Like, why is that a thing? And they all were like, we were told to do that by the boss, sir. And I'm like, and he's like, y'all don't have to really come at me like that. Calm down. It's okay. Just tell me when you're having like your system crashes. That's it. Like when you've been down 20 minutes or more. That's it.
But is he a good cop in a bad cop kind of situation?
No, I think that he was recruited because he was such a good person and he wanted the position and he's been there for years. They recruited him. Now they're trying to mold him into the white supremacist way, into the corporate way. And because he literally came on, like he didn't know none of this stuff. He didn't know. And he's been with the company for years. And he's like, hey, chill. I've been with the company for years. I know what burnout feels like. And what you guys are doing, and you guys are telling me, oh, you went to the bathroom or you went to go feed your kid. No, I have kids. Don't do that. All of a sudden, they done scared him. They probably told him, hey, we put you in this position for a reason. You want it or not. You want it or not.
They don't know how to treat people like human beings. They know how to treat us like cattle.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the
That's what they did
rebellion,
with me.
though. The rebellion. You give us a little bit, like I was discussing the York statue last week, and how York went on for the Lewis and Clark expedition, experienced freedom for that time, and then came back and asked for his freedom. He's like, hey, I did something for y'all, fought for y'all. I felt freedom. I was free. Can I get my freedom? I did you guys a favor. Can you do me a favor? I experienced freedom and I don't want to go back into slavery. They said no. And we experienced our mental freedom, our physical freedom from the job space. And we're here, right? We're at home. There is no way that these people expect us to come on. There is no way that these people to expect us to come back into office. We experienced freedom and we were still willing to do the work, right? In this mental freedom that we've experienced. We're not totally free, but we were still willing to do a work. There is no way, there's no reason why you guys should want to chain us again. But the reason is they want full control over us. They want to say that our workers are in line. They want to say that we've made them miserable enough to not want to lose their job. So,
it is a crazy mixed up world out there. It's a dog dog world. But they want to own you.
Yep.
Because that's all they know. James, you were about to say something about that.
Oh, just saying that the same thing. Oh my gosh, it sounds so much better because I don't have a dual echo in my ear.
That's what we were listening to.
Yeah, it's because of that second music channel, so I think that's what it is.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't hear it anymore. But that's the same thing they basically did with me. They tried to, any of my previous jobs. Y'all see how I am. I think everybody sees how I am. I'm a nice guy. I'm stern on my stuff, and I give my directions and orders or whatever you want to call it, like needs to be done. But I know burnout. I know mental health is important, and these people have families, lives. They go through stuff. I go through stuff. Yeah. So why not treat them like they do? Yeah, we here trying to get some stuff done, but you're still a human being at the end of the day. Yeah. And I've had bosses that have wanted me to treat my employees like they're nothing. I'm like, I can't do that.
Right.
I can't do that at all. Even like now with what I'm doing, we monitor phone calls, make sure you answer your call. You okay, take a few minutes in between your break. Now, if you start getting excessive with it and you just going to cook a full family meal, okay, girl, you need to log out for that. And come back.
We're still running. We're still working with the company. We got to respect the company that we're working for. Right.
If you have something that you need to do, come with me. And I have an open door policy. I tell everybody, talk to me. I have no judgment. If you got something that's going on, let us know because we don't know. And my God, just doing that and listening to a lot of the stuff that people went through during this pandemic, I don't see how anybody can force anyone to come back into an office or do a half of this stuff that they're doing.
And what's funny is they monitor me, right? They monitor me outside of the job, but they can't touch me because I read the rules, I know. So they monitor me and they see during the beginning of the pandemic, I have tweeted a lot about mental health. And I tweeted about mental health in the corporate space. I tweeted about us not knowing what's next and, how your company is dealing with it. People were sharing their stories with me through social media. I tweeted about particular companies disrespecting their employees during this time, not listening, right? And like I said, mental health has been at the top of my radar, the top of my conversation during this pandemic. And so all of a sudden, I decided to take a break, and not even for a long time. I didn't even get an opportunity to do that because paid wise, because they were like, is something really wrong with her? And I'm like, I need a break, yo. Like, this pandemic has worn me out. And do you think I want to hear people crying about not being able to pay a bill? I don't, because I'm going to let them pass. I'm going to find a way to get them through. And I don't want to be reprimanded because I know that we have options to get these people through. And that's what was happening. I needed a break from all of that. So, they decided that I needed to go to a psychiatrist. Not only did I need to go to therapy with a psychiatrist, they said, okay, you go into therapy. Okay, you could take a break. Then they said, in order for us to pay you though, you need to go to a psychiatrist to make sure that you're really crazy. That alone can make somebody crazy.
Right.
I needed a mental break, and you guys wanted me to be sick. You guys said that I had to be mentally disturbed, uncontainable, not able to move without medication in order for you guys to pay me to take a break. And when my psychiatrist, who put me on 2 medications that I didn't take because I knew nothing was wrong with me, but she's like, this is what we're going to have to do in order for you to get paid, sis, gave the information to my job. And they told me that that wasn't enough. And you guys, I was out of work. They didn't pay me. And I was continually going in the system and still doing my thing. They did not pay me. And if I would tell you guys for the amount of time, y'all would be shocked. But I ain't even going to do that. And I still was given all of this here and going there, the best that I got while they were investigating. And they didn't pay me. So
when you get done with them,
I'm gonna definitely
we're gonna drag them
Blizzity blast,
like for real, man,
to the end of the universe and back again.
Yeah, it's been a journey, and like I say, I know I come on here looking as fly as I do. I make sure that I'm kept together, but the unraveling during the pandemic was
serious.
Because not only was it from the pandemic, it was the personal things, the personal relationships that were breaking because, as a result of the pandemic and us being together too much or not together too much. It was then the relationships with your friends, you felt alone. It was so much going on, and I needed to step back and sit in my issues so that I can bring myself together. Therapy definitely worked for me. Even my therapist was like, girl, if you don't take a break from that job, sis, listen, this is how we're going to do it for you to get paid, because I know how that certain corporation does. And now they're offering free therapy. Why? They're offering free therapy to everybody for the year. Why? Because they want to make that the excuse for you to go back into the office.
Yep.
This company, y'all.
All these companies.
Yep.
All of them. It makes no sense at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. They just want you to work and bleed. They don't care about
they want
anything.
Your soul.
They want
soul
your soul, bro.
Mine.
Right.
You have some joy. Your joy is,
anything.
You smile.
Sucking you dry.
Right. And then got the nerve to micromanage. Like, bro, you put me in a position to do this, but now you deciding to micromanage me. You know what? I'm taking off tomorrow.
Yeah. Oh, exactly.
I'm calling out tomorrow.
So it's funny you say that. I haven't taken any time off, right, from the job since, the year. I keep looking at my system. They got it as though I took off certain amount of days. I calculated, and I'm like, I got all my days on purpose because I'm going to be taking a lot of days, half days, and things mid-year on down. Mm-hmm. So, but they have it where they framed it as if I took so many days off. So, I hit up HR and I'm waiting for them to respond, and they haven't responded. But if you think
That you gonna let that slide?
If you think I'm gonna not take those days, you got something else coming. I got screenshots with my original post with my days on there that have magically been removed.
Better keep those receipts.
Don't play with me. Pas jouer avec moi.
You better say that.
Well, listen, I know that we had the stream still up. I know, and this is going to be our free show for today, for the week. So definitely head over and shout out to all of our Patreons who shared the show with you guys today, who were like, you know what? The show is just rolling. We're going to let it roll. Shout out to them. Y'all go thank the Patreons. But definitely go to patreon.com/like it or not, patreon.com/like it or not. If you're not a Patreon, or Patreon, I don't know the particular way to say it. Patreon. Look, Patreon.
Patreon
whatever.
is the website, and patron is the.
Okay, so if you head over.
I don't know why they make that distinction.
Look,
I used to say the same thing.
Bubba, can you do it like you do? Because I can't. It's giving me.
Y'all make sure that y'all go join, support. Y'all like what y'all hearing, like what you seeing. Patreon.com/like it or not. Patreon.com/like it or not.
They know. Tunnel vision when I hit the holly. Working on that cause my mind is on an island. Told my babies I'll be homeless, so don't stay up. Breaks my heart to see them sad, so I won't wait.